morning. I think we should start. It's 4 minutes past
各位
8.
早上好，我觉得应该要开始了，现在时间8点8分。
So good morning to the Dutch people and of course good
各
afternoon
位
to
荷兰
all the
人早
people
上
in
好，
China.
在国内的各位下午好，
Welcome to this
欢迎
third online
这次
masterclass
第3次的大师班，
about sustainable pig farming in China.
有关这个
I'm
中国的
very
这个
happy
可持
that
续
you are
发
all
展的这
here.
个养猪。
I will
那
present to
么
you
我
the
会
program
给
for
各位介
today.
绍一下今天的这个一些题目。 今
So
天的这个
this
安
third
排，
session is about
这
animal-centered
次第3
management.
次的这个演讲呢，是有关这个动物的这个管理。
So here's the program for today. I
这
think
个
we have
是
some
今
very
天的这
interesting
个
speakers.
安排，我们今天有很多有
So
趣的这
first,
个演讲。
we will start
首
with the
先呢，
welcome
我
by
们开
myself,
始这
Janneke
个我自
Janssens.
己本人做一个
I'm the
这个
training program lead for this program.
然后呢，我是这个项目的这个
Then we will
这
follow up
个
by
指
a
导师。
presentation
接下来
by
呢，
Gerjan
由
Huisman,
Gerjan Huisman 做一
Pig
个
Signals consultant and trainer, and he will talk
他
about the
是
basic
一个教练
principles
师，
of
那么他
animal-centered
这个
management.
这个将以这个动物为中心的这个管理。
Afterwards, we will focus on
那
the farrowing
么
room,
接下来呢，我们会
because the
看一下
farrowing
这
room
个
is a very challenging
这个产房，
example
这
of
个
animal-centered
这个
management
养
and
猪
how
的
to
这
do
个
that.
然后怎么去
So
管理。
you can see we
那
have
么
some
让
interesting
各位去
speakers
看，就是
about this
也
subject.
有一些这个比较
First,
有意思
we will
的这
talk
个
about
演讲。
nutritional needs
先
in the farrowing
关
room
于像这个
by
产
Delphine
房
van
的这个
Zelen,
各性化
Technical
的这
Director
个，然
Nutrition
后
at
呢，
RTTC at
营养
Artifirm.
这个研发
After
股
this,
份公
we
司的
will
这
go
个
to
养猪的事
individual
情。
sow feeding
那
technology
所以
by
这
Li
个
Yonglu,
有关的这个
Frida
李永
Arisis.
瑞先生在 Frida 方面呢，接
Then
下
we
来
will
做
talk
这个
about
他
the farrowing crate
个体养
layout.
猪的这个思
This
维
will be
是。
presented by
然
Erik
后
Helming
呢，有
from
Erik
Noyen
Helming
Pig Flooring.
在这个
Of
从
course,
诺言
climate is
这
also
个
very
板做这
important
个
in the
竹叶
farrowing
板的这
room.
个布局方面。
So after the crate layout,
然
we
后
will go
呢，
to climate control,
我
focused
们
on
就
the needs of sows and
接下
piglets
来要讲
by
这个
Peter van Issen,
这个
Micro
气
van
候的这
Stienen.
个有关官员是贝德
And
芬所做的。
finally, we will talk
最
about the
后
importance of
我
light
们是
strategy
就会
to
讲这
influence
个
farrowing
影响
and
这个
reproduction results.
分繁
And
和
this
这
will
个
be
繁殖结
presented
果
by Wen
在
Yongwu
光照方面的这个
from
研究方
Hato
面，
Agricultural
是这个
Lightning.
胡文勇先生。
Afterwards, we will have like
然
15
后呢，
minutes for a
大概
Q&A.
有15分
Of
钟的
course,
这
in the
个答
meantime,
问。
you can also
那
ask your
么各位
questions
在
in the
这个介
chat.
绍期间呢，有需要可以在这
And
个讨论
finally,
区
I
提
will
问。
explain the next
那
steps
么
in this
在
training
最
program to
后
you,
我会
so you
对
will
培训
also
项目
know
的这个
how
下一
to
步计
apply
划
for the live
一
training
个说明。
program. So, a few practical aspects
那么有一些这
of this
个
session.
我们现在这一次的一些
Please
综合信
keep
息，
your
要给各
audio
位
and your camera switched off.
请这个把这个原始音呢和这
Each
个
of these
各位的
sessions
这
is
个
being
视频
recorded,
呢也关掉。
and we will share them in
然
the
后呢，我
WeChat
们这
groups
个
after
这
this
这一次的
session.
PPT 在这个结束后，我们会在这个
After each
群里面
lecture,
分享。
we can answer 2 urgent questions
这个如果各位这个
posed
接
in the
下来
chat.
这个在这
Other
个
questions we will keep
讨
for
论
the
区可
Q&A
以
at the
提
end.
2个这个提问。
Please put your questions in the
各
chat.
位呢，各位
As you have
提
seen,
问就是
there
在
is
讨论区。
simultaneous interpretation available.
这次
So
有这
if you
个
want to hear
声
this
翻译
presentation in
做这个
Chinese,
口传的，
please
各位可以
click
点
on the
击这
globe and select Chinese and
个
mute
要
the
听
original
英文的这个
audio
原始音
so
的话
you
呢，就
don't
点
hear
击
the
在
English
英文频
speaker.
道。
Finally, I would like to
最
thank the
后，
following
我要
organizations
谢谢这
for
个以下
sharing
的
the
这些机
invitation to
构，
this online masterclass with
因为
you.
他们的这个对于我们这
The
次的
China
大师班有
Association for the
说这个
Promotion
帮
of
助
International
这个理
Agricultural
念
Cooperation,
国际合作促
the
进
Lehman
会
China Swine
动物福
Conference,
利国际合作会
and the Chinese Animal
黎
Husbandry
曼中国养
Association.
猪大会中国畜
Thank you
牧
very
业
much
协会
for
主
sharing this
业的
link
负
with
责人。
you, and of course, thank you all for participating.
各位，谢谢各位参加。
So for now,
那么
we
现
are
在呢，
going to the
我们
first
先
presentation, and this will be
这个
brought
揭
to
示
you
第一个
by
这个
Gerjan
演讲。
Huisman, Pig Signals
然
trainer
后
and
是黑羊的
consultant.
海爽，他是这个朱星号的一个这个
Good
咨询
afternoon,
师。
everybody.
各位下午好。
I hope everybody can hear me very
各
well.
位有听到我讲的。
and thank you for joining this
谢谢各位
webinar
参加
and
这次大师
masterclass.
班。
We will talk
那
about
么我们会讨论
animal-centered
关于
management,
移
the
动的
basic
中心的
principles
这个
and
饲养
guidelines,
管理
how we
基
can
本的原
yeah,
则，
make performance
怎
better.
么可以就是提高我们的这个效率。
Next slide, please.
下一页，谢谢。
Animal-centered management.
动物以动物为
It's
中心的
building
这
the
个饲养
system
管理
around the
是
pig
这个就是围绕
instead
着
of forcing the
建
pig
立一个系
into
统，
the system
而
where we
不是
quite
强迫
used to
动
do.
物来适应这个我们的
After
系
the
统。
outbreak of the classical swine
在这
fever in
个1997
1997,
年的这个典型的这个
societal
猪瘟
demands and
这
animal
个
welfare
爆
legislation
发后，
forced Dutch
那么
pig
社
farmers to
会
take an
的需求的和
animal-centered
福利
approach.
这个法
At
规，
first,
或者
this
迫
was
使这
seen
荷兰
as a
农庄业
major
者这个
challenge.
采取
Actually,
一
also,
些
yeah,
这个
very, very
管
difficult.
理模式。
Through research,
通过这个研究
experimenting,
呢，这
and
个
sharing
实验
knowledge,
的和分
pig
享这个
farmers
知识
discovered
呢，
that
这个荷兰
animal-centered
农庄业者
management
发
will
现的
lead
这个
to
这种
better
的
performance.
管理呢，会
Pigs per
高
saw per
这个
year
这方面
went
的
up
效
from
率。
22
就
to
是说，
32
我们
since
呢，这个
1997.
ESI 呢，从22会提到到
Animal-centered management
32。
is now the core of the
所以
Dutch
现在
pig
呢，以
industry.
动物为中心的这个这个饲养
Even
管理
without
是这个
legislation,
行业的
the
核心。
industry is still developing
现
new
在呢，
methods
继
and
续还是继续
technologies
在
to
这个研发
support
新的技术，
animal well-being.
来
You will
提高
have
动物的福利。
several examples
这
in
方面呢，我
next
们有在下一
presentations.
页下一些
The
这个介
Chinese
绍里
pig
面呢，有一些规
industry
范的。
can benefit from the
中国
Dutch
的这个农
learning
场业
curve,
呢，可以这个
creating better farm performance
在这种农村
without
里来
making
学
the
习，或
same
者是来
mistakes.
这个参考这个荷兰的这个方式。
What do we take
那么
into
我们
account?
我们需要考虑哪一
It's
些方面
pig
呢？
biology, the
首先呢
physical
是
aspects,
的这
and
个生物本能，
natural behavior
它
of the pig.
另外的有它
If you
考
understand
虑它的
why
自然
things
行为。
happen, you
如
can
果
think of
我们
how
理
to
解
handle it,
为什么它
what
会这么
actions
做，
need
我
to
们
be
可以
taken.
采取一些
Pig
做什么
management
措施。
becomes less
那
forced
么这样的
if you
话呢，
stay as
管
close
理
as
呢不
possible
会
to the
是有
animal
迫使性
needs
的，
and
因为呢我们
natural
会这个
behavior.
听从这个
Working
这个
relaxed
自然
and
行为。
structured is
所以这样的
necessary
话呢，
for
是
high quality work.
这个可以使得这个我们的这个高有
Not always fast working will give better performance. It's
这个工作
how
快
you
不
do
一
it
定是有
and
好
that
一
you
点的，
recognize
是
things.
我们是需要这个意识到一些这个事情。
Next slide, please.
下一页，谢谢。
Yeah, minute.
If we talk about
我
pig
们讲
biology,
到这个
if we talk about
动物
this
呢
example,
是有一个例子，
a pig can hear, can see, can smell, and can talk.
我们也可以
People hear well, but
都
have a
也
poor
可以
sense
我
of
们
smell.
也可以，但是
Vision
呢，
is less
我们
important for a pig,
这个
but
猪的话呢，
its
视觉
sense
是
of
不是
smell
那么
and
重要，
hearing
但是
are
它的
crucial.
还有这个就是说它的这个听觉
Pigs
是很
talk
重
with
要，
each
猪
other,
呢也是互相
literally
的
by
沟通
making
的，
sounds,
它真的
but
是
also
会
using
就是
sense.
创
Pigs
造一些
produce
声
a
音，
variety of
它们也
sounds
是
that give a
感官
clear
方面呢
signal.
也是有
If
不
you
同的，
recognize the different
我个
sounds,
人
you
也
will
是
have
可
an
以意识到
indication
它
of
做不
what
出
is
的
going on.
声音，可能我们可以
Pig
知道
eyes are well
它这是
adapted
什么。
to searching for
动
food
这个
and
猪呢
also give
也
its
是
good
要不就
sideway
是
vision.
在这
The
个寻
pig
找
looks
食物
down
的话呢，
along its nose,
看这个
binocular or orange part
下方或者是
that you
往
can
侧
see
面去
in
看。
the examples,
各位在下
and
面
are
看
also
到
notice things
另外
going on the
猪
side,
呢也可以在
monocular
侧边
in the
也
yellow
可以
part.
发现就是
So you can see
在
that
黄
pig
色这个
is
区域它
only
看得
seeing
见
the
的，
small parts, and
所
you
以呢
always need to keep
它
that
只
in
是
mind
看
for
到一
yourself.
个小部分，不像我们人一样。
Pigs navigate with their eyes,
它呢是
sight,
有的
nose
是
for the
通过它的
sense,
眼睛，
and ears
然
for
后
the
呢
sounds.
这个
Taking
多
these
是
aspects
吸
in
取。
account helps to stress-free
我们
approaching
考虑对
or
到这
moving
些
the
方面
pigs.
的话呢，我们
If you
可
know
以
what
就
they
是
see,
说，
you know how
第
to
一
handle.
要减少它的这个应激。如果是在移动它，比方说我们有意识到它的这个视觉啊、感觉啊、听觉。
If we talk about pig
我讲到
behavior
这个猪的
essentials,
行为的一些特征，
first, if we talk about
首先呢，
resting,
我讲一下休息。
pigs spend the
猪呢，
majority
这
of
个大部分
their
的时
time
间
for
呢，
resting. preferably in a quiet environment together with other pigs. There needs to be sufficient lying space for all the animals to rest at the same time. The resting area is separate from other areas where they eat or play. The climate should be comfortable without drafts. In nature, pigs rest in the underground. The surface should provide adequate grip to stand up and to lie down easily. If we talk about eating and drinking, pigs prefer to eat and drink unlimited amounts. Besides resting, they also like to eat together. This requires enough feeding places so the pig can eat undisturbed and feed will not be monopolized by dominant animals. If you take that into account, we used many years only small troughs, maybe with one eating place, so things to reconsider. We learned about that. We talk about exploring. Pigs explore their surroundings using their snout. In nature, they do this to forest and to map their habitat. If the pig cannot express exploratory behavior, it may redirect this to its pen mates. This can lead to biting, example, tail or ear biting, or bar biting. You can sometimes see it with sows. Providing specific materials to explore can prevent this biting. If we talk about self-care of the pig, I didn't know if, the next slide, yes. If we talk about self-care of the pig, compared to other animals, the pig has relative hairless skin. The pig wants to protect itself from itches, irritation, and skin damage. It does so by scratching, scrubbing, rolling, taking mud baths in nature if possible, providing tools to enable the pig to groom itself, prevents stress. The floor should have sufficient grip, same as the laying area. If we talk about the social behavior, pigs are group animals with a strict hierarchy in the world. They form family groups with multiple generations and ranking within the groups. Adult boars don't belong to these groups, but live solitary in their habitat. In professional pig farming, it is therefore important not to mix the groups too much. They will need establish to the hierarchy all over again. This can cause aggression and agitation, leading to stress and skin damages or wounds. If we talk about sexual behavior, in nature, mating will take place in winter, so the piglets will be born in spring. In fall, when the days are getting shorter, the sow will be less fertile. The sow and boar are taking a lot of space to circle around each other before mating. The boar nuzzles the flank of the sow and lay his head on her rump. He also spreads a scent and makes a typical mating sound. The sow shows she can be mated by standing still with their ears pointed upwards. The boar mounts the sow and pushes her on the rump with the legs. In the professional pig farming, sows won't be natural mated and animals cannot circle around each other. only if you take them out of the crates. But it's important to stimulate the natural behavior as good as possible to get the best reproductive result. This includes using a teaser bore and stimulating the sow with available tools and technology. I think most of us already know how we do it in a professional way, but always keep in mind what is happening in nature. That gives a lot of things that you can improve in our professional farms. Next slide, please. Yes. If we talk about defecation, the pig is a hygienic animal that likes to keep its resting and eating area clean. Pigs like to defecate with others and don't want to be disturbed. They also want to have a clear view of possible threats while defecating. They will probably stand with their hind to the wall. Defecating areas are at least 5 and no more than 15 meters away from the feeding area and as far from the resting area as possible. If we talk about nesting and maternal behavior, a few days before farrowing, the sow starts feeling the urge to build a nest. This is still the case in domesticated pigs. The first hours after birth, the sow will let the pigs suckle almost continuously. After that, she will call her piglets periodically to suckle. As the piglets grow, the number of feedings will decline. The sow needs enough space to lie on her side and must be able to stand up and lie down easily without crushing the piglets. We will also see that by Nguyen. She also needs to be able to communicate with her piglets. In nature, a sow stays with her piglets during the first 2-3 days. After that, she will leave the nest to forage for food. After 6 days, the piglet will join their mother to forage. She will teach the piglets how to forage and to eat. They will leave the nest and rejoin the group around 10 days after birth. All these behavioral aspects are present at all stages of production. So it says, if you understand why things happen, you can think how to handle and what actions need to be taken. You can really improve your performance if you understand all these aspects. It's always building the system around the pig instead of forcing the pig into the system. And it's in all stages as discussed or presented before. I hope these things are clear, and otherwise, put your questions in the chat and we will pay attention about it. Next slide, please. What does this mean in the daily practice? Because if we want to give all examples of the total production line in this masterclass, it's too much. So, as Janneke already explained, it's if we focus on the farrowing room, where everything comes together, you can start thinking about how to improve, and finally, maybe also by joining the training groups, you will get much more information. In the daily practice, the farrowing room is a challenging example of animal-centered management. Different environmental needs for the sows and piglets. Vulnerable period of sows and piglets. Prepare the sow for the next cycle. Prepare the piglets for weaning. This all requires an integrated approach and focusing on feed strategy and feed application. It all comes together, also with the climate, etc. Crate layout and environmental conditions, taking into account animal needs and behavior aspects. So I hope if you can combine all the presentations of the next companies, that we all need each other for performance excellence. And that is what we created in the Netherlands. And we really like to give you all these examples and also the knowledge performance increasing. I would say thank you very much for your time. And the floor is for the next presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Gerjan, for your presentation. I was looking if there are maybe some questions in the chat. But for now, I don't see any questions. So I think it's a good idea to move on to our next speaker. And that will be Delphine van Zelen, Technical Director at Agrichem. And she will talk about the nutritional needs of the sow and piglet in the farrowing room. So Delphine, I will give the floor to you, so you can start your presentation.
Yeah, I hope you can hear me, and I hope so. Good afternoon, and also welcome from my side. My name is Delphine van Zelen, and I'm working now already more than 12 years for the Royal Agrifirm Group, of which the last 2 years as Technical Director, Nutrition and RTTC for Asia. My expertise is in swine nutrition, and today I would like to tell you something more on if we are starting right, how can we then enhance the piglet survivability? And why is this important? Over the years, we not only the genetics of humans were showing an enormous evolution, but also the sow genetics was showing an enormous evolution. And as you can see here is that we have an increase over the last 10 years. An example of the Netherlands here with 1.6 extra total born piglets. But what we also saw in the averages of the Netherlands is that only 1.4 piglets extra live-born piglets we were receiving over 10 years. And this resulted in 1.3 extra weaned piglets per litters. This means that we are losing 0.3 piglets in the pre-weaning phase. This is coming then from, on one hand, a higher stillborn percentage, but on the other hand also a higher pre-weaning mortality. And this brings some concerns already for years. First of all, it has an economic impact. And next to that, in Europe, it's also playing as an ethical and environmental topic. So it is important to tackle this problem. And therefore, we want to have a look to the sow cycle. So for every farmer, it's important to have a lifetime productivity as high as possible for sows, where you also are delivering high quality piglets, of course. And if we speak about that, then there are several KPIs that are important in that. First of all, the number of weaned piglets per litter. And if we talk about weaned piglets per litter, then we need to look into the sow cycle to the transition period. As the transition period, we are calling this the period the moment a sow is entering the farrowing room till she is starting the farrowing process. And what is there, of course, important is, first of all, the smooth farrowing process. But next to that is also the preparation to have a high colostrum production. And we want to prevent as well diarrhea and preventing the transmission of Streptococcus suis from sows to piglets. Another target that is important is the weaning weight of the piglets. And for improving the weaning weight, we are looking to the lactation period. As the lactation period, there you want or you are aiming for a very high milk production. And what is also playing a role in the lactation period is that you want to limit the weight loss of the sow, as you want to use as much as possible of the energy that the sow is taking up out of their lactation feed for using for the milk production. And not only for that, the limited of the weight loss is important, but also because in the lactation period, you are preparing already your sow for the next cycle. So you are there already creating the quality of the follicles of the next parity. And last but not least, another parameter that is important if we speak about sows and piglets is the number of litters a sow can produce over her whole lifetime. And therefore, this gestation phase is a crucial phase. As first of all, at the beginning of gestation, we are looking to the recovery and the optimization of the condition of the sow of the previous cycle. Next to that, you also want healthy sows, so no injuries, for example. And last but not least, in the later gestation phase, you're also influencing the birth weight of the piglets and the vitality of the piglets. So a lot is happening in a sow cycle. Of course, too much to tackle all today. And today we will only focus on the smooth farrowing process and on the colostrum production, as both has an impact on the stillborn percentage and the pre-weaning mortality overall. So the first question we can raise is, can stillborn percentage being influenced by the farrowing process? And there we want to look to the farrowing duration first. Overall, we see on average that a farrowing duration takes time between 3 and 5 hours, but with a very huge variation. As you can see, it can be 1.5 hours for one sow, but even 15.5 hours. But as a general advice, we as AgriFirm give you that there is one piglet born every 15 to 30 minutes. That's the rule. If we then look to, if we are talking about the smooth farrowing process and the correlation to stillborn, then we also see that in more than 75% percentage of the deadborn piglets during parters, it's caused by an oxygen deficiency. So meaning that the farrowing process is taking too long. And then this is nicely also showing by a study of Oliviero, where he is showing that the moment that the farrowing time is taking more than 5 hours, there is a significant impact on the number of stillborn piglets. So there is a correlation between the farrowing duration and the percentage of stillborn piglets. So what we can ask ourselves then, what are the influencing parameters of a farrowing duration? Well, there is the time of last meal, there is the condition of the sow who will play a role, the housing, age, history of the sow, and many more. So what we can do then as feed company, as nutritional company, first of all, we are creating concepts and feed which is fitting in the nutritional requirements of the sow, but also fitting with the different types of sow genetics that are available into the market. So that's an important thing we need to take into account as nutritionists. And next to that, we can also give advice to the farmers. What about the sow feeding management? As also still a lot there can be done. And first thing, if we speak about feeding management and the influencing factor on the farrowing duration, we speak about the feeding frequency. And why we are looking to the feeding frequency is shown very nice in this graph. The moment that the time from the last meal until the onset of the farrowing, the time is going above 3.13 hours. There is a correlation between the time from last meal until onset and the farrowing duration. So the longer it was the time before the last meal, the longer also the farrowing duration will be. As a sow at a certain point will lose energy as well to give birth. And to make that time as short as possible, we advise to increase the feeding frequency from 2 times a day to 3 times a day. And why is this? As you can see here in this table, it means that the average farrowing time can be reduced from 7.4 hours to 5.1 hours. So there is a correlation between the two of this. But of course, it's not only the feeding frequency, it is also the feeding level which is having an important effect. In this study, you can see that by increasing the feeding level towards almost a level of 3.5, 3.7 kilograms per sow per day, you can have an enormous reduction in the farrowing duration, so the dark brown bars. And with reducing the farrowing duration, we will also be able to have less dead-born piglets as well. So ideally, we are saying here that the feeding level is around 3.5, 3.7 kg per sow per day. Of course, this is a feeding level which is impossible to give to or that will be impossible for sows to eat the day of farrowing. So, of course, the farrowing process, as I said already, takes a lot of energy. So what can we do to give quick energy to the sows? Well, a very nice study here is showing the effect of supplementing the sows 250 grams of lactation feeds. So in this study, the sows were not having lactation feed already when they are entering the farrowing room. But okay, a lactation feed higher in energy normally, so giving them this supplementation, of course, also with 250 grams of sugar cane, which is quick energy source, will give you a significant reduction in the farrowing time, so more than 40 minutes reduction time, and not only a reduction in the farrowing, but again here you see the positive correlation also in the decrease of stillborn percentage. So supplementing quick energy the day of farrowing gives a shorter farrowing duration and less stillborn piglets. Coming back again to my previous slide where we were starting that we wanted to look on how we can influence the farrowing process, it means that with nutrition and feeding management, we can indeed look for a smooth farrowing process and reducing stillborn percentage. Of course, there was also one other parameter that we wanted to tackle today, and this is the colostrum production. And there, the next question we are asking then is, can piglet survivability be influenced by the colostrum production? to give an answer on this question, I first wanted to look with you on what is happening around birth, how the piglet immunity is looking. Well, the answer is very easy, nothing. So an empty page of immunity, meaning that a piglet is born without any immunity. Of course, to be able to survive, you need immunity. And where piglets is having this immunity coming from, first of all, maternal immunity. Maternal immunity is equal to a certain level of immunoglobulins G. And as you can see, this is quickly after birth, you receive a peak in this maternal immunity, but it is also going fast, going down fastly. So it's important that piglets are also creating their own active immunity system. Because at the moment of weaning, you want a certain level of still maternal immunity, and as well also already a certain level of own immunity, active immunity. And how will we now create both as high as possible? Well, for the maternal immunity, we are looking to the colostrum, because colostrum contains immunoglobulins G. So it means that the better the colostrum, the higher the peak in maternal immunity on one hand. And for the active immunity production, creep feed will play an important role. So this is on the piglet level. And both of them will create a higher level of immunity at weaning. Today, we will only focus on the effect of colostrum, so on the sow level in the farrowing room. And what does that mean, colostrum? Why is that so important? Well, first of all, colostrum contains a high fat content, which is tremendously essential for maintaining the body temperature. And maintaining the body temperature will have an effect on the short-term survivability of the piglet, so the first 2 days. Next to that, it contains also immunoglobulins, not only immunoglobulins G, but also A and M, which are responsible for the longer-term survivability after 2 days. And next to that, also colostrum contains, of course, essential amino acids, hormones, growth promoters. So colostrum is very crucial for piglets. If we then first look to the short-term survivability, then we see that the energy which is available for a piglet at birth is mainly consisting out of glycogen. But what we also see here at the right figure is that the glycogen, when you are not eating, is going down fastly. So it means that you need energy for also having a certain level of glycogen. But also the energy that a piglet is requiring the first 24 hours to survive is much higher, as you can see here at the right bar, than the energy available at birth, which means that the piglet needs to take out the energy from the colostrum. So to overcome this gap, we recalculated this back that the energy needed for this is equal to 150 grams of colostrum intake per piglet. So really to stay alive the first 24 hours. And it's not only the colostrum intake, so the 150 grams that is playing a role, but also the first intake. So the time of first intake of colostrum is playing a huge role. As you can see here that piglets who are still alive after 10 days had a time to first colostrum intake around 27 minutes. While piglets who were dead after 10 days were only having the first colostrum intake after 55 minutes.
Delphine, can I interrupt you for one moment, please?
Yeah.
I hear some comments in the chat that the interpretation voice is a little bit soft, so a little bit low. So please, the interpreter, can you speak a little bit louder, because it's very interesting information and we don't want people to not get it all. Okay, thank you.
Or do I need to speak still a little bit Less? I don't know.
No problem.
I think it's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. So the message here was that the time to first colostrum intake is also playing a crucial role. So the sooner the first colostrum intake, the higher the survivability of the piglets can be. So this is really about the short-term survivability. But I also mentioned that colostrum will play also an important role in the long-term survivability, and therefore we are speaking about the immunoglobulins. And if we speak about immunoglobulins, we are speaking about the quantity of the colostrum on one hand, who will play a role, and also the quality. So first of all, we will look to the effect of the quantity of colostrum intake. And therefore, I want to show you this graph, and what you are clearly seeing here is different levels of colostrum intake and the effect on the mortality rate of the piglets. And what you see is that here, when you make the switch from 200 grams to 300 grams, we see a huge decrease in mortality rate. So based on this study, we are advising our customers that minimum colostrum intake of 200 grams per piglet is needed to have a significant impact on the pre-weaning mortality. So take that into account for a moment, 200 grams. If we then look to the longer term effect, so not only to the survivability, but what the effect is of colostrum intake on a weaning weight, then we see that increasing the colostrum intake from 100 to 250 grams gives you already 400 grams extra of weaning weight. But there it doesn't stop, because we say that normally a difference in weaning weight you can multiply 3 to 4 times into the fattener phase. And this is also what you clearly see here. By increasing also here the colostrum intake, so by 100 grams and having then 400 grams extra weaning weight, it gives you even 1.5 kg extra fattener weight at the period of around 75 kg. So to have at least also a weaning weight of 5 kg, we are recommending here that we need to look for a minimum colostrum intake of 200 kg.
这个是提高这个小猪的表现，所以呢，从150克的
the short-term survivability to 250 grams colostrum per piglet for improving on one hand, and as well also the piglet performance on the longer term. Then looking back on what I was starting with, that the sow genetics were having an enormous evolution also in increasing the litter size. We see that this increased litter size gives some issues as well, as the colostrum yield, if you are having a higher litter size, is becoming a limited parameter. Especially when you compare this with the calculated intake, which is possible, the capacity of the litter. So you have a certain gap here. So the question now here is how we can improve now the colostrum quantity. Well, looking back to a study which I was earlier showing of Ferreira, they were not only looking to what is the effect of the feeding level on in the farrowing the moment they are entering the farrowing room, on the farrowing duration, and then on the stillborn piglets, but they were also looking on the effect of this feeding level onto the colostrum quantity. And there you can see that when you are able to feed the sow around 3 kilograms per day before firing, you have a better colostrum quantity production. So an adequate feeding level is paying off for colostrum production as well. Another study is showing that not only the feeding level is important, but something what is often not measured very detailed is the body condition of the sows. And also the body condition, and then in this time we are speaking about the back fat, is playing a huge role into the colostrum yield of sows. So a moderate body condition, and here we are speaking about a moderate body condition in terms of back fat of 17, 18 millimeters, is really giving you or giving the sows the highest colostrum yield, and resulted in this study to 250 grams colostrum per piglet. So please, an advice from our side, have a close look to the body condition of your sows. And okay, for we have not time enough to go into details into that, but for measuring the body condition of the sows, there are also several methods available, from more subjective to very objective. What does that mean now in practice? Well, in practice, we give you the following advice, that around farrowing, so the moment sows are entering the farrowing room, try to increase or to switch to lactation feed on one hand for having high energy, but on the other hand, try to go to 3 to 3.5 kg per sow per day over 3 feeding times. Of course, this is a huge amount. So therefore, we are advising to apply the following rule. Start the moment you are bringing your sows into the farrowing room, start with feeding 2.6 to 2.8 kilograms per day. And look after every feeding time to the feeding bins. If it is clean, then the next feeding time you can increase the feed level with 0.2 kg. If there is a small leftover, then please keep the level stable, because it means that the sow cannot eat more. If there is a lot left over, then even we need to decrease the feeding level to for the sow. And what is also important, clean the feeding bin, because a sow will not eat out of a dirty feeding bin the next time. It's just as humans. We also don't like to eat out of a dirty plate, of course. This is really for the quantity. One last thing where we want to look today is the impact of the quality of the colostrum on the survivability of the piglets. And why is this? Because if we look to the macro chemical composition of the colostrum and how it changes fastly after after onset of farrowing, then we see that especially the protein level is decreasing fast. And it's not only on macro level, but this is also the same what we are seeing for the immunoglobulins G. There you see a rapid decrease in immunoglobulin G the first 12 hours after farrowing. So it's important to start from a very high level to keep also after 12 hours a certain level of immunoglobulins G. And not only that, but what we also know is that the immunoglobulins G level is different for males than for multiparity sows. So the question here is, can we influence the sow colostrum quality? Therefore, let's first have a look on how we are analyzing this in practice. Well, there is a positive correlation between the immunoglobulin G level and the immunocrete percentage. And the immunocrete percentage, that is the parameter we can measure in lab for example. We can measure this not only in colostrum, but we can also measure this in piglet blood. And for having a certain level of immunity for the piglets, we know that we need this level of immunoglobulins G in the colostrum, and this means that we want to have a minimum of 15% immunocrete in colostrum for sows, and for piglet blood, it means we want to have a minimum level of immunocrete of 10%. So these are two parameters which are very important targets, let's say it. And if we then look on what we do at Agrifirm, we are applying Civita, one of our additives, in all our sow concepts. And we see that by applying Civita, this is what was happening before we were applying. You see a certain level of immunocrete in the colostrum of gills, but you see a huge or a significant improvement in the immunocrete level of colostrum of gills. So gills who are having standard a lower level of multiparity sows can really improving their colostrum quality by the use of Civita. Not only in the gills we see this effect, but we still also see an improvement by multiparity sows in the immunocrete level of the colostrum. What does it then mean for the piglets? Well, for the piglets, we see then in the blood samples that after the use of Civita already for more than 2 months, we see that we can also have a significant immunocrit improvement in the blood for the piglets. And we don't see only a significant improvement, but remember I said that the minimum target of immunocrit in blood samples is 10%, and we saw also that before the start of the trial and after 2 months, we could reduce the amount of piglets who are having a lower level than 10% immunocrit in the blood from 45% to less than 20%. So here in a first trial, we see a significant improvement in immunocrit levels. The same we are seeing also in a trial, a time course trial as well in China. And a time course trial is meaning that you are looking to, before you are starting, to having some analysis and parameters. And then you see that before we were starting, there was only 70% of the sows who are having an immunocrit level who is more than 70 to 22%, between 70 and 22%. After start using Civita, we could increase the amount of sows to 62% of sows who are having now an immunocrit level in their colostrum of more than 70%. So also in China, we proved already the positive effect of Civita on the colostrum quality. And with this, I want to give you a summary of the take-home message I want to give you. So meaning that look to the feeding level you are giving to sows. There we recommend you to give 3 kg per sow per day, spread over 3 feeding times, and supplement also Civita in all your sow feed. And by doing this, you will have a positive impact on sow and litter performance as you create a shorter farrowing duration. You will have a higher piglet survivability, and this by having a higher colostrum production on one hand and a better colostrum quality. One important remark I want to make here is that all what I just mentioned is based on sow averages. So really not taking one specific sow genetic into account and all sows on average. The next step we can ask ourselves, what would be the effect or the improvement if we are able to apply precision sow feeding in practice? And I think this is something very nice, which will be later told also by the people of AgriSys. With this, I would like to thank you for your attention. I'm looking forward to any questions.
Thank you very much Delphine, for your presentation. I think we have one question in the chat. It's in Chinese, so I would like my colleague Yui to step in and she can translate it for us. Yui, are you there?
李总在吗？
是喊我吗？
对，是，请你翻译这个讨论区里面的这个提问。
Maybe some of the other
有三
presenters
个问题
can
是吧？好像
translate it into Chinese.
最后
Sorry,
讨论
into
区的这
English.
个问题，请
最后那个问题是吧？
对，
I cannot hear everybody, so yeah. David, can you hear me?
In China, for pig industry, before farrowing, normally we should reduce the feed intake before farrowing during lactation. Yeah, and he asked how much feed intake should we set before farrowing and gestation time, stage, and how many I don't know when gestation how many feed types they should feed, and when until the sow weaned, how many feed types during gestation and farrowing before weaning, feed types, so there are several questions.
There are several questions indeed, and also several answers are possible. Of course, there are. The most simple is 2 feeding times. There is a gestation feed and a lactation feed. That is the most simple. And then you are playing with different feeding levels, because also in gestation phase, with a gestation feed, so one gestation feed, we are advising already 3 levels of feed. We apply a high-low-high system. Why? Because high in the beginning of the gestation is to recover the sow body condition of the previous lactation period. And then in the mid-gestation phase, you can go lower to just have a maintenance of the sow body condition and the growth of the fetus, of the piglets, and then at the end you go up again, because then you wanted to really improve the birth weight and the vitality of the piglets, so you need to go to a higher feeding level of gestation feed. And when you enter the farrowing room, you make the switch to lactation feed. I'm fully aware I bring something new also for China. For years, this was also not something what was applied in Europe as well. Also in Europe, they were used to decrease the amount of feed around the farrowing period to at some farms even nothing. Some farms are going to 1 kg. So at the day of farrowing. So I'm fully aware that in practice, the day of farrowing 3 kg is impossible. For sure. Also, still in Europe, this is the case. But that's why we also gave the message, look then for a quick energy that you can become available for sows, for overcome also the stress of the farrowing process.
Okay, I hope this will answer your question. For now, there's one more question. Also in Chinese. Yes, and Yui is going to translate it for us in the chat, so you can also see the question, Delphine. And that will be the final question, because we also need to move on to the next speaker. So I think we have to wait 1 minute for Yui to translate it. In the meantime, I would like to have our next presenter to prepare himself. And I think that will be you, David.
OK， 那这个问题我就先不翻译了。
Oh, so we can now first.
This question?
So he suggests first the presentation, then the questions, or do you want to the last question first?
Yes, I want to do the last question first, but I don't see the translation yet. So if you can translate it, Giotto, that's also possible. But
yeah. They ask the user the new sign sow feed, and during lactation they feed it 4 times a day, and maybe totally will be 5. Every meal will be 5 and 2.5 and 3 kilo. So every 4 times a day, every meal is every time is 2.5 or 3. But the thing the lactation sow losing weight a lot. Yeah, but he asked why. Yeah. They feed a lot, but still cannot keep good condition after winning. Yeah, maybe.
So then I would recommend that we indeed have a close look here, but and I will look together with my colleagues that we can contact this person. But one general thing is losing body condition in a lactation period is normal. So maintaining the same level of body condition between entering the farrowing room and exiting the farrowing room is impossible. So every sow is losing body weight and body condition, and that's why the high feeding level, the first 30 days of gestation phase is important to really do this recovery of the body condition. But of course, we need to really have a look into this question as well more in detail, and we will pick this up.
Okay, thank you very much. I think in the meantime, you will go on translating the questions so we can answer them afterwards. So for now, Delphine, thank you very much for your contribution. And I would like to invite David to the floor to do his presentation on individual sow feeding technology.
Okay.
So David, we don't see you, but
should I mute my original audio?
If you mute your original audio, I think that we cannot hear you speak English.
Can everybody hear me?
李总，您需要这个原音可以开起来就可以了。你现在可以讲。现在听不到。可以吗？
现在这样子。
现在可以，这样子可以，李总。
哦，好的，OK。I will share my presentation, my screen, yeah.
Okay.
And because I have some movies, so I need to show some thing about the knowledge, yeah.
Yes.
So can everybody see my document?
Yes.
Okay.
You can see it.
Okay. Today I will introduce the sow intelligent feeding system, not only gestation but also farrowing. Yeah. We are a company focused on the sow feeding and also some intelligent equipment. And Denmark access in the need of China. I think we have a long history during the pig industry, and we starting business in China, I think from 2007. And a lot of customers using the system to improve the production or management efficiency. Today, I think we are training about the sow management. I think it will be focused on the farrowing feeding. And the last presenter also introduced the nutrition and also the management of the sow lactation sows, management. So I maybe this presentation will show you how to do it, but what kind of way we can do it better. from 2007, I think a lot of people, pig producer, knows the group housing with for gestation. Yeah. Yeah, this is for the gestation. So the question is how to feed the gestation sow and keep it a good condition, make it have productive. So this is in RTTC farm. I think we also use the ESF. Yeah, and this is farm management software statistic analyzing that by using ESF and can improve the winning piglets per sow per year, or this is the group housing. So the gestation sows in RTTC farm, I think also using this kind of group housing. The sows can walk, and they're not in the individual crates for all times, so, and also can feeding them according to the body conditions, gestation stage, or pregnancy time. And this is the layout of RTTC farm. From the left to the right, I think you know your farm layout is gestation pen, and next is insemination, individual crates, and also have a training area. And the right is the farrowing pen. So it's all feeding automatically and controlled by the CP, the PC. This is the RTTC farm group housing. It's the gestation sows, and they can feeding them, and according to the responders, according to the individual litter size, body condition, and set the feed strategies or feed schedule. And also sometimes, yeah, we can have some more weight monitoring. They can weigh the sow weight every day, every time he goes through the walking corridor. Sorry. And but this kind of like RTTC, we say walk through it. You can go through the feed station, but it should be training them, and at least 1 week, and training them how to go in and how to get in feed. And it takes some stress and also have some difficulty. But if you finish the training, everything will be going smoothly. And also a simple way to feeding the gestation sow is walking in. Is go in and go back. I think it's also group housing and accurate feeding for the gestation sows. And this is also a movie. Yeah, this right side is the feeding station, and the left is the weight monitoring. You can, they can weigh in the sows and during the feeding stage. Yeah. Also adjust the feed intake based on the data like body weight, body condition. Today, I think, according to the training program, I think we should focus on the sow in farrowing pens, the lactation sows. So we as for the we all know in the presentation just now, we need to improve the feeding intake of the sow in lactation, because they have the release size is getting bigger and bigger. They have more pigs, and they need to have more milk production. So how to improve the feed intake in farrowing pen for the sows? I think you can feed more times, 2 times, 3 times, or 4 times, maybe 10 times. But it takes a lot of labor. The work in the farm is difficult to work at night or maybe any morning. So this is a system to feeding them automatically. You can set them when to feed it, how much feed we should drop to the trough. So it's just a dispenser, an auger, and you can set them how to dose the feed. And why should we use this kind of system? Like in China, Wins, CP, and Yangxiang, a lot of big pig producers install this kind of system. It's mainly to improve the feed intake of the lactation sows because they need more nutrition and they need to produce more milk. So we need to increase the lactation sows feed intake. And also we need to feed more times. Just the questions mentioned, how many times before farrowing and after farrowing. Anyway, I think the sows in the farrowing room, you cannot eat 3 kilo or 6 kilo at a time.
David, can you hear me? I'm sorry, but the people are hearing you speaking in English and they hear the interpreter at the same time. So I think maybe you should adjust your settings.
How to set it?
I think if you look at the interpretation channel, do you see that?
李总可能是要按那个英文的，现在这里是不是中文的？按。
Can you help with that, Shoto? To maybe?
Yeah, I'm trying.
Yeah.
李总设立这个频道是要设立英文的频道。
Actually，
那可能是关掉原音。 原始这个这个声音，然后只是用这个英语的这个频道。
我现在是 ，Can you hear me? No.
我听到你，我听到你了。
No, it's okay.
I can still hear you, but I can hear both of you all the time. So.
你要选择那个英
文
的频道，然后呢要。
我收听语言方面，我点英语是吧？
对，然后可能是要 mute original audio，
还要 mute 一下。
你试一下 mute。
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello.
我也听到你。Hello. 我听到你讲了。
Hello.
哦，应该这样可以了，我听到你讲了。
Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear English or?
您继续讲，您继续讲。
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. And we want to feed more times during lactation. So especially 1 week after giving birth to the piglets and improve the.
You should also share your presentation, David, because I don't see it now.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I just closed it. So the voice is okay.
声音应该可以，现在还没看到那个。
Okay, it's now.
I don't know if it's okay, David, because I can hear also both of you. So I'm not the representative for that, but I think you should just go on and we will see.
We can see the presentation now.
I'm sharing the
介绍看到。
Yes, now it's okay.
It's okay.
Yes, you can go on. We'll see.
Okay. Okay, and also we should improve the sow feed intake and keep the sow more healthy And then just the questions before, we should. It's not possible to keep the same condition before ferrying and after ferrying, but if we will improve the more feed intake and have more nutrition, it can losing less their body weight and to the next cycle. And so it's very important to improve the feed intake, especially the little size is getting bigger and bigger. They have more and more pigs per sow per year. So yeah, but it's very difficult to do it manually, like in China or maybe some of the European Dutch farms. They use manually to feeding, but it should be automatic. So we have tens of thousands of the farm. It's not possible to feeding them manually and 4 times a day, 6 times a day. Next day, Scandinavian farm, they're feeding 6 times a day in Lingang. So this system can feeding automatically, and not only just using used in ferrying, but also can be used in individual crates. In some farms with without a group housing, using the individual crates to control the feed intake of the gestation sows. So it's very important when we look at our ferrying pen, they have at least 30 or 6, maybe 40 pigs per sow per liter. So sometimes, especially the Danish breeds, they have maybe almost sometimes they have 18 or 20 pigs per sow per liter. So, but
David.
Yeah?
I just want to tell Giotto to put up your mic. You can hardly hear you, Giotto.
The mic is put up, but I will try to talk louder.
You're very soft.
Okay.
Sorry, David. Continue.
李总没关系，这个是我声音好像是有点小，没关系。
对，你的声音很小，我一直都是觉得，刚刚有曾经想说这个，就是我也听了你的声音比较小，中翻译。
不知道为什么，没问题，你继续。
Okay.
And
also, we have a problem if we feed the sows too much feed one meal. They have a lot of leftovers in the trough.
如果是给它太多，它的这个采食这个槽里面的会有很多剩料。
So, like if we have more, you have to clean the trough and waste some of the feed.
就是有时候会浪费这个饲料。
But by using this kind of system,
and
you can set the feed strategy, before ferrying. Maybe 5 days or 3 days before ferrying, you can set 3 kilo or 2 kilo, and also can set a feed strategy after ferrying from the day 1 or day 0 and to day 22 or day 25. And you can set it anytime, 8 o'clock in the morning, and 12 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, or 10 o'clock in the evening. So you can choose how much percent of the total feed daily meal should feed. For example, you would like to feed 8 kilo a day. You can feed 2.5 kilo the first at 8 o'clock and 1 kilo at 11 o'clock. And also, you can according to the experience, but the basic knowledge very important is to not have too much left over in the trough, like Japanese food. We call sushi. You eat less but more times. But the total feed amount of a day, you can improve a lot.
David, you can also, and Giotto, you can also continue maybe in Chinese, David. So the people don't have to, you don't have to switch to English, and then the people can just listen to the original audio. So The people also have to
Yeah.
switch to the original audio. Maybe you can translate that,
各位
Giotto.
可以这个
So you
设
can
立
go
原
on
因，
in
我们
Chinese,
现在请
David.
李总讲中文，可能
OK
这样的话呢，我们不断李总您请讲中文就好了。
OK，这个就是这个厂房的这个哺乳思维器的话，它是可以根据这个我们的这个投尿规则，产前产后啊，我们按照这个我们的喂尿量来进行一个曲线思位，然后每天的话，我们可以整点思位，比如说8点、9点、10点或者2点啊、10点啊、晚上10点啊，它都可以定时的给它下尿啊，然后。喂尿的比例的话，它可以根据自己的需要，比如说那个母猪，早上能够吃4公斤尿，假如一次能够吃3公斤尿，我给它设2.8，或者是那么为什么不能够设那么多呢？它就会有时候一次吃不完，那么会有剩尿的问题。所以这是我们在国内很多厂的使用这个过程中，就刚刚那个课件你也讲了，它会有剩尿的话，会导致一些霉病啊等等这些问题。但是我通过增加次数来提高它的一个总采食量，就是一天的总采食量。那么当然这个设备的使用，我们依然是需要校准的，就是我们毕竟来说还是个体母猪准确投尿，就是说我们要知道哪个囊下了多少，通过设备来进行一个执行。那么我们也要通过校准它多长时间下了多少尿，哪个囊下了多少尿这个是要进行一个英文叫 calibration 呀，然后同时呢，我们在这个设备的话，它是可以用在厂房在厂商上面，也可以用在这个定位栏上面。那么在使用的时候，它也是可以非常方便的，就是可以通过我给大家看个视频吧。这个是正大CP 那个应该是中国最早安装这个厂。那么早上的话，你第一舱行囊的话，发现有些猪可能正在分娩。那么正在分娩的话，那么你会发现有些猪，这2头猪分娩了，它可能不吃尿。那么我们可以通过平板电脑或者手机，直接可以看在手机上进行操作。这个囊我可以它减掉多少尿，或者是它真的一点都不吃，我给它停掉第一天的尿，或者停掉1餐2餐。它的操作起来非常方便，而不需要人工去开关那个每个电位上的配量器或者调配量器那么这样的话，它就是我们减少这个饲料的浪费，然后我们也非常容易掌握这个猪的思维的一个情况这就是我们的一个厂方的这块的一个RTTC 上面也厂里也是这个思维设备，然后它的喂尿的话可以看这个视频。那么每个栏的猪那么它是，所以每个栏的猪它的喂尿时间是一起喂的，但是可能每个栏的采食量，就是这一餐的采食量可能会不一样，是我们设定的，每头猪可以设定的，每一类猪比如说1胎、2胎、3胎、4胎5胎这个也可以进行设定的。我们的投尿是可以通过电脑来设定，来通过这个电机来执行的。
So you have a few minutes left, or are you ready, David?
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay, so 所以说这个设备它是可以用在厂房上面，也可以用在定位栏上面。那么这种都是为了一个就是单体囊的一个准确投尿，就是哪头猪吃多少，哪头猪下多少，然后我们减少这块的一个饲料浪费。如果对厂房提高母猪产食量，对定位栏的话，我们可以让它达到一个准确的喂尿，根据控标需要那么这个是在正大的厂的话，用左边是正大的，右边是普通的。正大没有用这个思维站的思维器的一个对比，它的断奶重的话是1胎，基本都是1胎的母猪，然后它的这个断奶重平均断奶重的话提高了大概差不多600-700克那么产食量的话也提高了2公斤左右那么这个是正大CP， 然后温氏这块的一个厂的它一个厂可能1万多头母猪都要采用这种思维方式那么我们这边的话也有比较10多快20年的一个服务团队，每个技术员他都有一个很好的一个经验就是我们这块的话，保证对中国客户的一个支持所以说这块的话就是包括 RTC 我们也做全面的支持。So we for breeder, we have a very good team for service for application in China. We have more than 18 years in China, and we can support the customer and training the users and how to use it, how to starting up system and troubleshooting. So I think, yeah, for ferret feeding, I think we should pay attention more to the nutrition of the lactation, but also we should have make good use of the system to execute actions. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. So the people should switch to English to the Chinese interpretation again now.
可以再选择这个中文翻译频道。
Thank you very much,
感谢
David.
李总。
I don't see any questions for now, and I think
看到各位有问题。
we should move on to the next speaker to not lose too many time. Of course, we have room for some questions at the end, but for now, I don't see any questions in the chat. So we can move on to the next speaker, which will be Erik Helming from Nooyen Pig Flooring. Yes, there he is. Good morning, Erik, in the Netherlands, of course.
Yes. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Can you see my screen, Janneke?
I don't see your screen right now.
Share. Share audio. It should be switched on.
David, can you please mute your, or I can still see you. But...
The site will be able to see your contents. Can you see my screen now?
I don't see your screen.
No, it's somewhere, somehow I push this share button, but nothing happens.
Hold on, Erik. I'll see if I can share your presentation.
Here we go.
Yes, it's already there. It's already there. Yeah.
Are we there? Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Well, we see a lot of things, but you still have to share your presentation.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to select the right screen to share.
There's only one sec. Maybe you do the presentation from there, because this is not working from my side.
Let me check just a moment.
Yeah.
It is
I will stop sharing my screen.
Hold on.
Can you find it, Mark? It's a Nooyen full Chinese presentation.
Which one is it, Janneke?
Nooyen full presentation Chinese.
Yeah. V2 version.
Opening. It's quite a heavy presentation. I hope it will work.
I can see. It's
maybe that's the problem also with sharing. Yeah.
PowerPoint is opening. Here it is. Okay. There we are.
Here we go. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So just tell me when you need the next slide, Erik.
Yes. Okay, I will do. Thank you very much. Yeah, good morning, everybody. Or good afternoon for everybody in China. Thanks for your time to be at this webinar today. After Gerian explained a bit about pig behavior and Delphine about feed ingredients and David about feed distribution, I want to explain to you about two tools that we provide in the feeding room at Nooyen. First, I'd like to explain the Nooyen company a little bit, and then I want to point out two special tools that we provide to improve and support piglets and sows into the farrowing room. Next slide, please. That's 3 clicks, please, then the full screen will be there. This is Noyen company. We are in 3 different fields. On the left side, you see our key activities, pig flooring and cattle flooring. That's one division in our group. We have also a division that's focusing on pig production. So we are pig farmers and still are pig farmers. In Spain, we have an integration where we breed Iberico sows with a full chain behind on feeding and drying these hams and making sausages. And also we have about 3,000 hectares of land where we grow our grains. On the right side, you see our other core activity, which is countertops at Jetstone. It's an industrial application. So as a total group, we are with 280 people doing about 70 million euro turnover. Next slide, please.
I'm sorry, Eric. Giotto, can you please speak up a little bit louder because people cannot really hear the translation well? Thank you.
Okay.
Noyen is a family company established in 1978 by Father Grat in the middle, always involved in the pig sector. And nowadays, Gerben, the son of Ari, is our CEO, and we are still 100% family-owned company. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Focusing now on the pig division. No, where are we as Noyen? Not there where there are pigs are in the world, there is a Noyen floor. Next slide, please. Yeah. Since 1978, the company in the pig flooring side has been developing, resulting nowadays to a production facility in the US, production facility in the Netherlands, in Belgium, and of course our farms in Spain. As already presented by the other people in this webinar, we see that we face nowadays in the pig sector a few challenges. We see that we have a higher number of piglets. We see a more variation in birth weight. We see also that smaller pigs are born. And as also Delphine explained, there's less colostrum available for those piglets. And next to the colostrum, there's also less milk available. In Europe, we have the challenge that we have to reduce zinc, copper, and antibiotics due to EU laws. And in some countries, motherless pig farming is not allowed. A global challenge we have is there is less qualified staff available to support the birth process and everything around the farrowing room. And at the same time, which also in the study of Delphine has explained, is we have more and more know-how available on ingredients, etc., how to get more energy into our piglets. So all these things together comes to one solution. Next slide, please. That for us, it's not about who is the strongest. It's about who is adapting the best. And this adapting you can only do if you have certain guiding principles that keeps you supportive. Next slide, please. For Noyen, these guiding principles are basically 3 pillars. Everything we do is focused on 3 points, namely hygiene, welfare, and results. Yeah, these I miss a picture. Is that correct? Can you go one slide back, please? One slide back. This is one. Yeah, there we go. This is an insight in our production process where we make the floors for each customer. Then we go through a coating process. The coating is actually the key item, and then it comes out of our factory ready to go to our customers. Now, let's take a look at a deeper look at the pig farming and the farming room. Can you play the video, please? In this video, we explain three things. It's our super-coated floors that are giving a maximum hygiene for the farmer and for the piglets. And we therefore reduce the damage on the small piglets and give them a better start in the farrowing room. I will come back to the cleaning part. We see there that we have really good results in solving the joint damage. That's to support the piglets. Then to support the sow, we have developed the balance floor, really reducing the amount of crushed piglets.
使得这个小的小猪呢被压扁的这个次数下降。
The result is that you have 7 piglets per pen per year.
我们可以就是说有每多7头小猪。
Here you see a video with of a farm that we have installed and how the building process has become about. Our floors are supplied in one piece, so that makes it relatively easy for everybody to put them down. During the building process, step by step, you see a farm mature.
设的时候期间呢，有这个拍一些这类的视频。
Now, when next slide, please.
这个下一页，谢谢。
The other way around.
再下一页。
So to come to a Noy floor, we look at 4 key items. I will go through them in the bird view, and then we focus a little bit more on the details on the floor itself. Next slide, please. You look at your pit length and pit width, and how do you want to design your area. Next slide, please. Then you look at how the frame should be supported. Can be done on 3 different levels. Next slide, please. And then very important, you select the material. The noise-supported floors are non-flammable, so that in a lot of countries this is a key item. Then we look a little bit further to the implementation. Next slide, please. So we configure 3 types of flooring. We have a traditional floor on the left side with a non-balance, or a balanced floor which is in the middle, or a free feathering floor which is on the right side. Next slide, please. When we design the floor together with our customers, there are in this feathering room 9 key items that should be addressed. Today we focus on 2 of them. Next slide, please. As we learned from the previous speakers, we see that the feed intake for sows is really important, and especially in the warm areas, it is very essential that the sow has a cool spot. That we provide with our cool cell concept, where we pump cold water under the sow to make sure that the sow can get rid of the heat, And on that way, she can keep eating even in warm conditions. On this way, the energy that the sow is ensures that it gets enough energy in, and on that way she can keep the milk production up, which will lead to a better sow condition and to a better to more healthy piglets. Next slide, please. That's to create the conditions for the sow. With the liftable floor, we see that we have the opportunity that at the moment the sow is standing up, she is lifted by its mechanism. On that way, she separates herself from the piglets, and at the moment when she's going to lay down, she can then not crush any piglets. Next slide, please. This will give a better view on the sow, which is a key important for the inspection. It will provide safety for the piglets, and it will also ensure a very calm sow, so she will have less stress. As Gerjan said in his presentation, it's very important to look also at the behavior of the sow during the ceremony. When we look all in all, the hygiene has one other focus point of Nooijen. I'd like to start the next video, please. When you talk about cleaning floors, especially when you compare Nooijen one system floors with plastic floors, you see there's a lot of seams. These seams are areas that are not easy to clean, and also take a lot of time and also with the Nooijen tri-bar or silicone, you will require simply less water, almost more than 30%. So when you spray or when you wash, you can save with 250 furrowing pans about 70,000 liters of water a year. It's for 3 parts really important. There where there's water shortage, it's important. Where time is an issue, it's important. And also, especially here in the Netherlands, when manure is an issue, it's important. So when we have floors in one piece, we can easier clean them. And also in the installation, it brings you a benefit. This is our short insight in Nooijen and what tools Nooijen can provide to support your industry. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to take them. Next slide, please.
Thank you very much, Eric. That was a very good and quick presentation on the highlight of what you are doing to provide the sow and the piglets a better environment, I think.
Yes.
I don't see any questions for now, but of course we will collect the questions also during the other presentations, and we will have the Q&A at the end. So for now, I think we can move on to the next speaker.
Thank you, Janneke.
Thank you very much, Eric, for your contribution. And the next speaker will be Peter van Issen of Microvan Stienen. And he will talk to us about the climate control, focused on the needs of sows and piglets. So I want to invite Peter. Yes, he's there. Hello, Peter. Good morning to you.
Hello.
So you can share your presentation if it works, and then we can move on. So you have
the same challenge as Eric, also to find the presentation. Share.
So from the fairing room design and layout, we will move to the climate control. I think Peter is starting to share his screen.
他现在还在分享他的这个视频当中。
I don't see the presentation yet, but I think it will come.
目前还没看到他的这个视频，但是应该会来了。
My screen sharing is paused. It says.
他说他这方面遇到
Resume.
Peter, I will share for you.
Mark 会帮他分享。
Is it okay, Peter, that we share for you?
可以吗？我们这个替你分享。
Okay, if that is possible.
如果可以的话，没问题。
Have you got any videos in it?
No.
没有视频在里面的。
Then it should work fine.
这样的话就没问题了。
Okay, hello everyone.
各位好。
Thank you for joining this
非常
Dutch
感谢各位
Masterclass
参加这一
presentation.
次的这个晚
Building
上
the
的这
system
个
around
大师
sows
班。
and piglets is the
那么
starting
针对
point
母
for
猪
this
和小
presentation.
猪的这个空气控制。
Actually, it's not just
那么
about
其
the
实这个
ventilation
不仅仅
system,
是关于一个
but
这个
it's
风扇
about
系
the
统，
entire pig
也是
building.
关于整的
Performance excellence.
这
This is
个
our
表现，
mission.
这
The
个这个
mission
优势表现。
of Microfan and
那
Stine.
么我们
Next
这
slide,
个
please.
Microfan 公司和 Stine。
Since 2021,
那么从
Microfan and
2021
Stine
年开
joined
始呢，这
forces.
个两家公司合并
Microfan
了。
has been acquired
Microfan
by
呢
Stine.
是 Stine 的以前
Next
的客
slide,
户。
please.
下一页，
Please, next slide.
下一页，谢谢。
Yep. Nowadays, we are
现
one
在
company
呢，我们是一
where the
家公
Microfan
司，
brand is powered by
但是
Stine.
呢，我们品牌还是称作为 Microfan。
My name is Peter van Issen.
我
I'm
叫
the Chief
Peter van Issen，
Technology
我
Officer
是
at
首席
Stine
技术官，
Microfan, and I am responsible
我
for
负责
research and development
这
department.
个研发。
We develop and
我
deliver
们发展
turnkey farm automation.
就是牧场的一些这
We are
个
doing this by
智能
using the
和
latest
自动化系
technologies
统。
for our climate
我们会
solutions,
发
automation
这
systems,
个提供
like
最
feed and
新
water
的
control,
先进的系统，来
management
控制
software,
空气，
and
这
related
个牧场
equipment
管理，
like fans, motors,
这
and so
个
on.
用水的系统等等。
Before we zoom in on the climate in the fairing room,
讲到
I
这个空
first
气
would like
之
to
前
talk
呢，首先
about
呢，我希望
about
讲
the
到
importance
这
of
个
climate
空
control.
气控制的重
Healthy
要性。
pigs ask for
那
a
么健康
proper
的猪
working climate
它
control
需要
system.
的是一个
Often the
好的空气
climate
系统。
in a pig building
因为呢，
is
这个一般的
seriously
话，室内的这个气
underestimated.
候呢，其实是
Let's have a look at the picture where we
是
distinguish
不一样的。我
a
们看一下这个照
microclimate
片，
versus a
这个
macroclimate.
是宏观
For
的这
pigs
个
living in a pig building,
气
their
候，
thermal comfort is
风景
influenced
和这个
less
细节
by the
会
overall
吸空气。
macroclimate and more by the
我们
microclimate
的空气气候
surrounding
这
them.
个微观的这
Therefore,
个空
it's
气
the
气候，
microclimate that must
对
primarily
对猪
fulfill
呢是
the
最
animal's
有用的，
climate
最
needs.
影响力最高
The
的。
microclimate refers to the
微
environment
观的
the
这个
animal's
空气气
level
候
within the
呢，
barn.
就是说在
In
这
practice,
个室内的
depending
对
on the
于动物呢
location,
是影响力
temperatures
最高。
can vary between 12 and
这个
24
在
degrees.
这个12和
For
24
pigs,
摄氏度
these
之间，
differences aren't
就是说
necessarily
这
problematic
些这
as
个
long as
分
they
别
are
差距
stable and
会
predicted.
影响这个猪的这个行为，
Climate is a key factor in influencing animal behavior,
是对动物
and
的行
animal
为影
behavior
响力
in
很大。
turn serves a valuable indicator of climate quality within the
的
rooms.
行为也是
We
会
will go
告诉
more
我
into
们关于
detail
这
on the
个环境
microclimate
的
for
一
farrowing
些
rooms
这
later
个
in this
气候的这
presentation.
个
But first, I
特
would
征。
like to ask
首
the
先呢，
question,
我想问
what
一个
makes a
题
good
问题，
ventilation
那
system?
么一个好的这个表系统
Next slide,
是
please.
什么呢？
A good ventilation
这个
system
一
is
个好
where
的
air
通风系
intake,
统
air
是怎么
distribution,
样的
and
呢？
air
它
exhaust
是
are
在最优
carefully
的通风系
synchronized
统的
to
基
work in
础
harmony,
温度
ensuring
的
efficient
排
climate
气
control
是
and
的
optimal
节
conditions for the animals. During the design phase of a pig
在这个
building,
设
the
计的
dimensions are
这个
determined
成
based
的情
on
况下，
animal
这牧场的这个
occupancy, required ventilation capacities, and the standards we apply for achieving an optimized and healthy climate. What do we see in practice? Many existing farm designs have too high air volume, which results in overventilation, which causes drought. In summertime, the maximum ventilation is far too big. We have seen ventilation capacities of over 1,500 cubic meter per hour per sow or even higher. In winter, this makes the minimum very hard to control. What else do we see in practice? We see leakage of buildings because of poor insulation. We see a lack of ventilation knowledge, wrong settings of climate computers, no maintenance, lack of support from suppliers, and no clear climate policy. Next slide, please. Now let's have a look at the farrowing rooms at the RTTC pig farm. Next slide. The importance of climate control. A farrowing sow likes a chilled climate between 17 and 21 degrees Celsius. If the temperature is too high, the farrowing sow will consume less feed, which results in less milk production for the piglets. This means less weaned and less healthy piglets. So make sure the sow is getting enough fresh air, preferably on animal height. This results in a chill and comfortable climate for the sow. Small piglets like a warm climate. Piglets are not big enough to control their own temperature. Make sure the incoming air is not falling directly on the piglets. Create a comfortable, warm area by using heat lamps or heating mats. Next slide, please. Air distribution solutions. Now let's have a look at those solutions. First of all, the system should be simple. In wintertime, make use of ceiling inlets for your minimum ventilation. And in summertime, use at least one tube each sow. The tube should be located above the feed trough, 20 centimeters above the ceiling and 40 centimeters below the ceiling. Next slide. Here you see how it is designed, the air distribution by tube. This system we call the fresh nose system. Use a tube of maximum 20 centimeters for summertime, and in wintertime, the tube diameter should be reduced to 1/3 or half maximum. This can be done easily and cost effectively by using a cap with a smaller opening, or maybe you prefer to automate it. In addition, use a second tube for extra cooling, and optionally you can use an additional cooling system like the Noye cooling to create an extra cooling effect for the sow. Next slide, please. In this slide, a combination called combi ventilation. Again, make sure that the piglets do have a protected area. This air intake and air distribution system can be used both with central exhaust ventilation or with decentralized ventilation. Next slide. Let's have a look at the importance of climate control. We often see that farmers are focusing on the temperature only. When, for example, the climate controller is set to 20 degrees Celsius, the temperature in the room should be 20 degrees Celsius. But don't worry, pigs do have a comfort zone. As you can see in the diagram, the thermal neutral zone is the ambient temperature zone within a pig can keep its body temperature constant without adjusting heat production. The light green area. Comfort zone is the narrower zone, which is even better. In the comfort zone, no panting or adjusted laying behavior will be seen. It is important that we keep the pigs within the thermal neutral zone, or even better in the comfort zone. Here the pig can perform optimal without losing any productivity.